Hey, welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. My name's Bruce, and I've got a real special treat for you today. We've done a podcast interview with some amazing people, Ryan and Katie Muir from Custom Built Cabinet Makers in Adelaide. Ryan and Katie have been clients of ours in the GPS program at the Joinery Coach for a little over a year now, and they've done some amazing work in their business. And I'm really excited to be able to share this with you. I think you'll find it really interesting. They've been through some trials and tribulations in their business like everybody else has, but they've come out the other side really dedicated to making a go of their business. They're amazing people, and I think you'll find some real inspiration from what they have to say and learning a little bit about their journey in business. And more than anything, you'll learn that you're not alone, and every joinery business has their own struggles, and we're all here to help each other. So without any further ado, we'll jump into today's podcast. And I thought I'd also let you know that if you'd like to ask more questions or even make some comments around this podcast or any other, please join us in our Facebook group. It's the Joinery Business Hub. It's a free group. You'll have to answer 3 skill testing questions to join, but once you do that, we'll let you in just to know that you're human, and we can have deeper conversations there and further the conversations around these podcasts. All right, hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. I know you will. Ryan and Katie are amazing people. Really proud to bring this to you. Really happy to have them as clients, and great to see their success, and love to further conversations with you. All right, without any further ado, hopefully you enjoyed today's podcast. Chat to you on the other side. Cheers. Welcome to the Joinery Business Podcast. I'm here with a real special couple that we've been working with for a while, Ryan and Katie from Custom Built Cabinet Makers in Adelaide. Ryan and Katie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome to have you guys. Yeah, awesome to have you guys on board. You guys run a really amazing business in Adelaide. It's been a long journey, hasn't it, so far? Maybe what I'll do is I'll just kind of go over in my corner and be a little quiet and just let you guys tell the listeners a little bit about you. Maybe I'll start out by asking a really specific question. Ryan, when you first started in business, tell us, I'm not sure if you guys were together when the business started. Were you guys together when this started? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start out with the very beginning of the business. What was going on at that point in your life?
So we've had the business since 2015. So we've been here for 7 years. When I first took over, it was just myself to start with, and I had one of the former employees. How do I explain it?
Yeah, so when we bought the business, the guy we bought it off of, he already had an employee, so we took him on when we started. Yeah, it was just me, and his name was Brandon. And then, when I first took over, it was just all the previous landlord had here was a panel store, really.
Yeah.
And so I worked for a couple of months.
Yeah.
6 months, 12 months on a panel store, which was interesting, challenging. Every other business had a CNC machine, but I had no experiences with CNC machines. So I think 12 months in, I purchased a CNC machine behind my wife's back. Probably the bluntest way to put it. There's a bit of a story to that. So
it's like arriving with a sports car and saying, "Hey, honey, look what I bought."
Yeah, pretty much. So I think my cover got blown when the rep come in here and said, and my wife was sitting in the office, Katie, and said, "Oh, when does your machine rock up?" And Katie looked at me and said,
"What machine?"
What machine?
And but now looking back, probably one of the best things we've ever done. So as business went on, I grew. I employed one more, I think, in the second year.
Apprentice, I think we brought on an apprentice.
Yeah.
We got someone casually in as well. I guess Ryan jumped in with both feet, and yes, I was in the picture then, but I was sort of standing back because I knew this was Ryan's dream and it was his goal and it's what he wanted, and I was definitely cheering him on. Our girls were really little at the time, so I was at home with them. And ever since we left school, Ryan has manifested, really. He said, "I'm going to buy the business that I've done my apprenticeship up. I'm going to buy the business that we did, I did my apprenticeship up, and kudos to him. He actually, did do it. So yeah, he was flying blind with no real experience in business at all. And it was a really stressful couple of years when we first started. And we probably felt like we were sinking a little bit because we didn't have that guidance to begin with. And that's when I really had to come on board and try and I guess wade our way through it together, really.
Yeah, I mean, like, I consider myself a good cabinet maker. A good cabinet maker doesn't essentially mean you're a good business owner.
Yeah, so true. Hey, so tell me, why did you want to buy a business? Like, what is it that you felt that a business would give you that you weren't getting from being an employee? What are those things that you're looking for the business to give you?
I just like going through school. I just felt that the only way to get somewhere in life is to actually own a business. Get a business. It'd be great. You'll make heaps of money and you have all this spare time up your sleeve. And it's actually quite the opposite. You find the first few years, well, actually, first 5, 6, 7 years, not having any time, not having any money, and you're just treading water, really. And if you don't have that guidance there,
yep,
you're just going nowhere, really. You're just stagnant. So yeah,
your message is really really an interesting one, and I know you guys have a very unique cultural position in the industry. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and some of the surrounding I guess experiences that you have that maybe other businesses might not be involved in?
Yeah, well, I guess as well, like one of the reasons why you really wanted to start your own business was to show other Indigenous people that you could be successful in your own right.
Yeah. So being an Indigenous person, like if I could just be a role model, amongst the community and just inspire someone like myself, young, not even young, just if I can be a business owner, I'm telling you, anyone can. Because I wasn't, gifted at school, and I, bad marks, just barely passed year 12. But, here I am, 7 or 8 years in business, and we're doing okay.
We're doing really well.
We're doing okay.
You're doing exceptionally well, yes.
Yeah.
We've just purchased his workshop. We own our own house, beautiful family. We've got everything there is to have in life. So we're doing okay.
So let's talk about the journey. Let's say the first 3 years. How would you kind of summarize those first 3 years in business? What's top of mind to you?
If I could use one word, I'll be blatantly honest. Hell. Hell. Absolute hell. Because like I said, I'm a good cabinet maker, but I'm just I'm not business orientated. We were just struggling, really. More so with cash flow. I'm really good with people, and I'm really good at making the final product look fantastic. Well, I was back then, and I still am now. It's just the whole process behind it.
Yeah.
So, and dealing with money and finances is not my thing. Luckily, I've got this one here, and obviously you guys now as well. But the first 3 years was just trial and error, really. And going.
Yeah, cash flow was the hardest part in the first 3 years. Money coming in and not even really knowing what it had to pay for. You knew that this money came in from this customer and you charged this amount of money. And it's like, okay, so now how do I make sure that they get that? And we can pay the staff and we can pay ourselves and and keep the business going. So there was no experience with the financial side of it at all.
So you guys kind of had that typical experience in the first 3 years, right? Where it's kind of running on adrenaline, just keep going. A lot of successes and failures, but the adrenaline just kept you going. You hit about the 3-year mark, and adrenaline, energy kind of, it starts to wane a little bit, doesn't it? So you guys hit a point. I'd like to hear from you guys when that point when you kind of hit, well, this is getting real now, like we can't keep going like we are. What were those realizations for you that you really had to sort of add something else to the equation to change?
Well, yeah, I think Katie hit the money on the head, with cash flow. As soon as our cash flow was not there at all. We just realized that we needed help, and then we spoke to you for 6-12 months before we engaged your services, because we just weren't sure, you know, about the services that you're offering at the time. And but yeah, then we just realized that we just needed help. We needed help from someone or something. Yeah.
I think one of the early conversations, Ryan, if I remember back a couple of years, I think we were talking on might have been even on Facebook chat, and you were saying, because we were talking about the size of your business, and there was a financial goal. I can't remember what the total amount was, but it was like $1 million revenue in business. And I think you said something to me like, I can't even imagine how we would ever get to that point. I can't sort of grasp it right now, but you're well past that at this point now, right? What were the sort of milestones you had to get over to sort of break down that block that you had about getting to there?
Milestones.
That's a good question.
Well, I guess like there was so much to learn, I think. You know, a testament to Ryan is he's amazing with customers. He's very charismatic. He knows cabinetry really, really well. He's able to, you know, take what a customer needs and put that into, you know, a joinery that they're really, really happy with. So that has never been an issue. We have never had a problem getting work through the door. It was the processes from once he got that initial sale, what happened afterwards.
Getting it out the door, not in the door. It's
out the door,
yeah.
That's right. And we were, you know, we weren't hitting our expectations. We wanted to be able to turn around cabinetry in 8 weeks. It was taking 12 weeks. Sometimes it was taking longer. We were fighting because it's just stress building up. Ryan was starting work at 3 o'clock in the morning. He was coming home at 7 o'clock at night. He was working 7 days a week, and something just had to give.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things, like there really was no process, you know, from once we won a job. So I think that's when we engaged you and just had to just work through what the processes that actually work to actually make the jobs go from in the door to out the door stress-free, or as stress-free as possible, and as less reworks as possible as well.
Yeah, we had to put a system in place, because you know how to make cabinets and you know how to get the job out the door, but it's the system and the structure in doing that in a time frame that is going to keep our customers happy and make their experience something that they go and share with their friends and refer us on and keep the business ticking over.
It really is. Once you move past the point of it not being the Ryan show anymore, it's now a business that's got a ton of moving parts, right? And it's about trying to get those moving parts to move collectively together with each other. That's kind of the challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, and biased, and just by even using those words, the Ryan show, it's about handing over trust to other people as well. Like, you can't do everything yourself. Like, you can for a certain amount of time or years. Then you outgrow that. You know, you just, like, for example, now Katie's the project manager, so she takes care of, you know, projects essentially, and she, you know, handles with our customers, and it's just, yeah, you don't know what you have. You don't know. So,
you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah. So what would you say to some, if we had a group of young people wanting to start a joinery business, you know, in front of you right now, what would your message be to them? But what to look out for, maybe what to do early, maybe that you know, if you were to be able to shorten their learning curve a little bit, you know, so that they maybe don't go through all the trials and tribulations that you went through, what would you advise them to do early on in their business life?
Don't do it. No. Get your processes in place. Get your systems in place first. You have to have those things in place, because if you just wing it as such, you'll just struggle for years. You have to have your processes and systems in place before. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
How about you, Katie? What would be the top 2 or 3 things that you would advise people to do?
I would also advise people to get help from the beginning. whether that's help from an accountant, a really good accountant, get help from a bookkeeper, a business coach, a mentor that already is in the business. Find somebody that has some experience in the space that you're about to start your business in, because really that is what is going to make the journey a lot easier, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's that old story, right? You can only learn so much from yourself, and then you tap out, and then you've got to go outside. And this industry is rife with that, right? Where cabinet makers become business owners and never learn anything more about how to run a business. So it doesn't just exist from trial and error. You can only trial and make errors so many times, and you go, okay, well, I guess I'm going to make errors for the rest of my life.
Yeah, if you can find someone who's been there and done it, essentially that's probably one of the best ways to learn. And that's one of the good things about being in this program is the access to the community. Like the Thursday morning chats, you get to chat to 5 or 6 other business owners in the room who are in similar situations to yourself, and it's just an hour and a half conversation where you can just have that space to share your story and also to listen to their stories, because you're all going through the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just one of the most beneficial things, I think,
Yeah.
in this program for myself anyway.
Definitely the community, absolutely. And being able to pick the brains of other cabinet makers across Australia to find out what's working for them and what's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a curly question for you both. Katie, I'll start with you. Let's just say, let's create an interesting scenario. Let's say that somebody knocks on your door today and says, guys, I love your business. I'm going to give you $5 million to buy it right now. And you go, hey, that's fantastic. Here's my bank account. What do you do now? What would you do in life if this business now has done its thing and it's made you your money and you're happy with that? What would you go and do in life right now that would make you really happy?
Oh dear, what would I do in life? Well, I think when you start a business, you have those dreams to spend time with your family and travel. And for me, it would be sitting on a beach for a really long time, or buying a boat and going fishing. Yeah, just quality time with the people that mean the most to you, I think is what's really important for me.
Yeah, that's definitely cool. Fishing, a big holiday would be great.
So I think I know what your answer is, Ryan. You'd probably be fishing every day, right?
Oh, that would be the first thing I'd do if someone gave me $5 million for business. I'd go on a big holiday.
Yep.
Buy a boat.
But long term, it's completely different to what I'm doing now. But it would be to get involved with children. I love being around kids. I'm a big kid myself.
Aren't we all?
Peter Pan, I'll never grow up, much to Katie's disgust, probably. But I'd probably go work at a primary school somewhere and be like a
mentor.
Yeah, a mentor to kids where I can just be with kids all day.
Awesome. It's really hot in my office right now, so I had to take some clothes off. So I really have enjoyed the last couple of years and watching you guys on your journey. Can you tell us a little bit about the milestones or the major things that you've done in the last, say, 1 to 2 years that have, because your journey has really accelerated, certainly in the last year. The business has really started coming together. What are the things that you think that have fallen into place for you in that period of time that wasn't happening prior to that?
Well, the biggest thing that's happened to us of recent is we've just purchased this current workshop that we're in. That's a pretty big milestone for us.
And I think if we looked at 2 years ago, there is no way we would have been able to do that. A couple of years ago, before we engaged the joinery coach to help us, we were struggling to pay our mortgage. We were about 6 months behind in our mortgage. We weren't really paying ourselves. We were paying us when we could because of cash flow. And I think it's been a slow progression from there. So we actually owed a bit of money to other companies, creditors. And so when we engaged you guys, we just slowly started chipping away at that. And I think understanding our numbers, understanding what percentage was sort of on the mark for wages, where we sort of needed to be for cost of goods sold, just those percentages really helped us get us into a position where we were paying back the debt that we owed and starting to make a profit. And I think looking at your costing was one of the most important things that we did.
Yeah, that's probably a big moment for myself, was actually looking at the costings, because for years I was using an Excel spreadsheet, which was working, but it didn't really have the nitty-gritty fine details of all the costings involved. So now we're still using the same Excel spreadsheet, but it's much more refined. It covers all of our costs. I mean, our costing could be better. We could be using BidCenter, but there's a bit of a story behind that. But that's probably like a significant moment for us, for myself. But for me, there's no real standout moments. It's just the little things along the way. Like, practice makes progress. There you go. Practice makes progress.
Nice. I like it.
The little tiny things along the way, which, if you're improving like 1%, even a week, you're improving 300%.
Yeah, even a month.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So,
hey, Ryan, you had some months ago, quite a few months ago now, actually, you had a really big, huge step forward, and it had to do with how are we communicating with new clients? How are we getting people to communicate with you and contact you? Can you tell us a little bit about that change from, being obsessively answering your phone and emails and all that sort of stuff, to how your potential leads now can reach you and contact you? What change happened there?
Yeah, sure. So I was a bit resistant against this whole process when it first got discussed. So it was I was adamant that the only way I could win jobs was if I went out to people's houses and sat in their home for an hour and got to know them and their pets, and look at their photos and spice up conversation like that. And I used to pride myself on going to 20 people's houses a week, which is probably 40 hours of me driving around and spending time at people's houses. And then you guys suggested to not do that and to get them here into our workshop, where essentially we take control of the situation, and it just limits me from going to their house. So now they ring us up, a 15-minute phone call. They tell us what they're after. Katie's one that takes those phone calls. She knows if they're tire kickers or not, if they're time wasters or if they're serious about getting a job. And then once she goes through that screening process, she then handballs them on to me, where
they come into our office for a 30-minute.
Yeah, they come into our office for a 30-minute consultation. So once again, I'm not going anywhere. They're coming in here. We've made the front office. We've improved it a lot to what it used to be. It used to be just an empty room, but now we've put like a small showroom kitchen in. We've put a bit of greenery around, and we've got a couple of those what are they called?
You're funny.
Anyway,
we've made it look pretty.
We've feminized the room a bit.
Yeah.
Thanks to Katie. And they come in here, they sit down half an hour with myself, and we go through their requirements, and then I go ahead and I draw up some plans for them, and I give them an estimate based on what we've discussed here in the showroom. And then if they're happy with that and they pay their $1,000 deposit, that's when I go out to their place. So essentially, I don't go anywhere now until we win the job.
And the steps prior to that call booking implementation, that was a big step forward for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. So from my side of things, I was getting the email inquiries coming through hot and fast. And I remember distinctly before Christmas last year, I had so many inquiries, I could not keep up with them. And it actually caused me a huge amount of anxiety every time I opened my email and I saw, 20 emails sitting there of people wanting work. And so for me, putting a calendar onto our website So instead of them filling out a job form, they had to book in a time to speak to me for 15 minutes so that I could screen them that way. It actually was a little bit terrifying because I don't see myself as I think a lot of people don't really like talking on the phone. I'm actually one of those people. So it was a little bit scary to begin with that I would be potentially having to take those phone calls. And I did make you take them initially.
Yeah.
And then once you got started and we realized that it was such a smarter way of running the business, I thought, yeah, okay, I can take over these phone calls. This is okay. Like it's not causing me anxiety. I don't have 100 million emails that I have to respond to. And the more we did it, the easier it became. So
yeah, because those emails are people wanting you to sell to them, right? Not then you place the reliance on the quality of your marketing strategy. So when they book a call, they've already kind of done that stuff you probably would have talked about in the email back and forth. I just remember I remember talking to you guys about that when it really started working for you, and the sense of relief that I saw in your faces, and just sense from how much of a load it had taken off of both of you. It was really a cool moment. I'll never forget it, because when we work with people, we always look for those milestones, those significant milestones, and that was certainly one of them. Tell us a little bit about the team, and because you're focusing on your team and the people in the team. How has that sort of changed over the last year or two?
So Ryan's always had a really good relationship with the team, and I was always sort of like in the background. And this year, when we decided to put me in as project manager to take the pressure off Ryan, we did actually sit down with everybody and have a chat and tell them, what we were hoping to achieve. And I think you having that really good relationship with them has been a really good basis for them and us working together to grow the business. And now we all work really hard together at making those small changes into that, like you were talking about, to make progress.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always struggled to differentiate myself as a boss, kind of from a mate with my team. So I'm very close with all my team, and I always have been, and I've been very personal with my team. So anything that I normally invite to them, they're always pretty helpful. So we did that meeting about 3 or 4 months ago where I sat down with Hamish and did the 3 Tim Woods thing.
The wastage.
Yeah. So they've been very good with that.
Yeah, they really just I think they love the fact that we are really wanting to grow a successful business, and they really want to help us achieve that, because at the end of the day, if we have a successful business, then they have a job, and one that they're happy to come to every day. And they're really just so willing to contribute.
It's a pretty small team that we've got here, and they're all really happy to be here. And
yeah, that's certainly, the milestones that I've observed from both of you guys. Let's say 2 years ago, I don't think we would have been able to have this podcast, because I don't think you had the confidence in yourselves in business to even talk about what you've done, even though you've done amazing things. And that's probably the biggest journey in the last couple of years. You've taken charge. You've taken charge of your business, your lives. You've owned the things that you need to do. And here we are now talking about this business with confidence and pride. And it's really a cool journey to watch, because your team is now responding to it in a much more positive way. And so are you guys. So I can tell you that the journey that we've been on has been a real, obviously there's ups and downs, and there always is. You don't everybody says, well, I want to avoid stress. Well, diamonds are made from high stress, right? So you have to have those I guess those difficult times for things to change sometimes. But where you guys are right now compared to even where you were a year ago is really astounding. And let's shift into, let's talk about your actual business. What have you got in the way of, if someone wanted to contact you or if someone wanted to check you out? Tell us a little bit about the stuff you've got going out in your marketing space, so people could maybe log in and follow you a little bit.
Yeah, so we've got our Instagram page, which we've had for quite some time actually, but we didn't really ever post anything. And this year we've really focused on our marketing. And it can be very daunting for someone that doesn't have any experience in that, but we've had a lot of guidance and just been told to jump in and get started.
Yeah.
So our Instagram page is one of my favorite things in our marketing strategy at the moment, where people can go and have a look at the work that we do and see our team on there. We've started posting about our team, and our reviews from our clients are all on Instagram. Facebook as well. We've got our Custom Built Cabinet Makers Facebook account, which people can access. And we've also started focusing a lot on customer experience because, like I said, Ryan said we really had any trouble winning work. And one of the things we really wanted to focus on this year is making sure that from the beginning to the end, our customers felt like they had great communication with us. They knew exactly where things were. So we've created some documentation so that from the beginning they understand our process. It's got a lot of information about how the job will progress through, and also a little bit of information about us. So that has been a strong focus in the last 10 months now of this year.
Yeah, and I think one of the most important things is getting customer feedback as well. So at the end of it, every job, we send out a customer feedback form. 9 times out of 10, they're pretty positive. Obviously, you can't please everybody, but
But that gives us a really good foundation for how we can improve. I think that constant improvement is really, really important.
Yeah, that's one thing that I think you guys have taken on really well. The continuous improvement sometimes mean you don't need to do anything because you're pretty good. Continuous improvement doesn't mean constant change. So yeah, it's really good. Website address,
www.customcabinets.com.au.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to get in contact with you guys, you just jump on the website, correct, and book a call.
Absolutely. Book a call, speak to our friendly team.
Speak to me.
Absolutely.
Simple and easy. Awesome, guys. Well, look, again, I'm really, really amazed at the work you've done. I shouldn't say amazed because I always knew, like we wouldn't work with people if we didn't know that they had amazing potential, quite frankly. And congratulations on the journey so far. And I'm really looking forward to what even the next year holds for you guys. It's even just as an observer, it's really cool to watch. But I'm really proud to have been a part of this so far with you guys and my team also, that we can sit down. Hopefully I'll be in Adelaide soon and we can have a beer and talk about some of that stuff, even stuff that we can't say here on the podcast.
And we appreciate everything that you've done for us. I mean, who knows if we didn't engage your services, if we'd even be here today.
There's a fair chance we wouldn't. We went from not being able to pay all of our bills and our cash flow being absolutely all over the shop to now paying ourselves a wage, and turning over last quarter was a 25% profit, which is incredible, and not having to worry about cash flow. Yeah,
just having money in the bank and just being able to pay bills when they come in is just such a weight off our shoulders. It's just amazing.
And I don't believe that we would be here today if we didn't have the support of the GPS program in the community.
And
very grateful.
Again, it's awesome to be a part of it, because we don't do anything. You guys need to do the work. We do know that if anybody in the program does the work, they'll get the results. It's always a matter of doing the work, right? And you guys have definitely done the work, so results are there, and it's awesome to see. Anything else that you would mention at this stage, from people listening about what they might want to watch out for in business, in the way of what's about to happen in the near future? Like, what are you looking for? Actually, let me ask this question a slightly different way. What will your business look like in 3 years from now? What's the future plan look like to you?
3 years from now, that's a great question. We've just purchased this workshop, so we're looking to change the structure of the floor plan around to make things flow a bit easier. But essentially, in 3 years' time, I'd like to have another couple of people on board. I'd like to be just concentrating on sales myself. I'd like to have a production manager in the workshop full time.
And new project manager.
A new project manager, and my wife's. She's getting it ready to handball it off to somebody else.
Someone experienced.
Yeah, someone a bit more experience. And I'm also after another drafter as well.
So this is the cool thing. You guys are now super, super clear on your forward plan. The work that's been done in the past has created the stability that you're looking for. So you've moved from that stabilized stage into what does growth look like in the business to get to the right size, and then that'll eventually have you end up with a thriving business that you guys can kind of do whatever you want with. Work in it, don't work in it, but it'll be a choice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd love to get to the next magic number, which is $2 million. So I know that's a fair way off, but hopefully in 3 years' time we can get there.
Well, they always say that your first million is the hardest, the second one comes easy, and we'll see how true that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool because that it's that path that you set, that in front of you that you can, people that don't have a plan generally achieve it. You stay stuck.
Sorry,
guys, this has been really good. Really appreciate you jumping on the podcast. I'm sure that your listeners and your followers are going to take a lot away from this. I really appreciate you doing it, and I look forward to the feedback and the responses you're going to get because you do set a really good example for others, and I'm happy to be able to put it out there for everybody to see.
Thank you.
No, we appreciate it. Yeah, we appreciate your help. So thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys. Have an awesome day.
Thank you. See ya.
Cheers.